Hey, what's up everybody? Morph here with yet another Voidling bound video. That's right, it's an Anami video and it is absolutely broken and it's really fun to play. Let me tell you that. I guess this is my Rhino build. You kind of run into enemies like Rhino in Warframe or Truffle in Duet Night Abyss. I don't really know what to call this build, but we'll figure it out on the title. Alright, here we go. Let's get into it, shall we? For this build, I think I have to go through the splicing first and explain exactly how you play it, and then we'll get into the stats. It is a very complicated, somewhat build, unlike all the others. Okay, for your modules, the ears, there's a lot of options that you can pick from. You can go with the STRs. If you're lacking in STR, you want a little bit more crit damage, then go with the STRs. Otherwise, just go for the Agi, especially since this build is based off speed, and this is the only modifier for Agi for this specific Voidling. Weird. I mean, it's all about running and stuff, and there's only one Agi. All right. For the tail, you're gonna want to get either recuperation, but then you have like an ugly platypus tail, which I don't really like. So I went with Vitality since you're gonna need Vitality anyway. For your coat, you could either go with the Vitality one, which is gonna be good, really good option, especially for the final form of this build, or go with the STR ones. Again, you can also go with Recuperation, that's not a bad option. But then you have this weird like platypusy, what the hell is this? Everything like platypus. Then you have this shoulder, this one's better, right? STR or Vit. For your mask, there's only two options. You want recuperation because you don't really need essence in this build. Alright, so for your main element, I was wrong in the past. The main element is actually the type of damage your Voidling deals outside of your primary ability and your secondary ability, because these ones can be changed. This one, however, will affect everything else that your Voidling does. It's the type of damage. So because I want it to work against every type of enemy, because the game kind of forces you to fight against all of these things, just go with Plasma. Plasma is good. Otherwise, I would maybe go with Cyber, since Genbots and Crystallines are kind of the annoying enemies in the game. You could go with that. Cyber's not bad as well. Okay. Abilities. Your first ability, your primary, which is your left click. For this build, you just want Shattering Gems, because it will give you that 5 armor reduction debuff on enemies, which is really nice to have. Plus, it's a pretty good damaging ability because it's 5 projectiles that hit at the same time. It's pretty bursty. It's better DPS than Bouncing Shock, that's for sure. The best one, in my opinion, would be Freezing Shards for like raw DPS, but armor reduction is better for this build because you're not really damaging using your left click anyway. You just apply the debuff. Though this is very good for dealing with flying enemies. The build is, it can destroy flying enemies too, but it's easier to just click them rather than running up and jumping onto them. But you can still do that. So Shattering Gems is good. As for the element, you want Cyber, because at least you'll be dealing with the ones that actually fly, which is the Genbots, and I think the Crystallines are the ones that also fly. So yeah, these are good. Next, your secondary ability, which is Slashing Sweep. This will apply a bleed stack on enemies, like a homing projectile thing, which is really nice. It's a pretty good AoE as well. And it's going to be your main source of survivability. This is where you're going to get your lifesteal from bleeding enemies. You can use Organic because you already have your primary set to effective against Crystallines and Genbots. So you might as well go with Organic. That way it's effective against Lesions and Ancients. The DPS of Slashing Sweeps isn't bad at all. It's actually pretty good. It can burst down the squishier mobs. The tankier ones, not so much, but Yeah, you just apply the bleed on the tanky ones, and then you hit the tanky ones. That way you're gonna be healed up by we get to the perks. All right, let's get this perk out of the way. It's not an important, well, it is important, but it's the least important one. Transfusion. Heal for 25% of damage dealt to enemies affected by bleed. So you don't need 5 bleed stacks, guys. You just need 1. They just have to be bleeding, and then you just attack them. It's not the bleed damage where it's not, the heal is not based off the bleed damage. It's based off whatever damage you're dealing to the enemy. You get 25% back. So your main source of damage will actually fully heal you, which we'll get into right now. Our next perk, and the most important perk for this build, is Windburn. This is a Windburn build. Spawn Windburn projectiles while moving that apply burn and frostbite to enemies hit. Their size and damage scale based on your character's speed. That's why we want that +1 agi. They want an agi Voidling for this one for sure. The nice thing about this thing, it deals a lot of damage. If you're going slow, it doesn't deal much damage, like it shows right there. It's like, what? It doesn't do anything. The burn is nice, it's okay, but the main source of damage is actually the hit of the Windburn itself. The frostbite is pretty nice because it does apply a frostbite stun once you have 5 frostbite on the enemy, which is like an instant stun against them. It's kind of nice, especially with this Voidling, because there is a specific way to play this Voidling that will burst down and target and apply multiple stacks of Windburn on top of the enemy. So just by simply running directly on the enemy or the target, it will apply a bunch of stacks already, like 5 stacks for sure it's gonna hit. But if you do the defensive ability of this Anami or this Voidling, which is that little skip hop thingy, you kind of phase through the enemies. And what happens is, every time you click that hop ability, a burst of Windburns will hit the enemy. It will come out of your Voidling. Like you see there, it's running, it's like produce something. But every time you hit your skip ability, it will produce more Windburns. So what I like to do to burst down a very strong target, like you saw in the intro, you run into the enemy and then you phase through them or skip through them, and the Windburn kinda comes out from inside them and just bursts them down and explodes them. It's very strong if you do it that way. Let me tell you, it's really strong. And it is based off your speed, so you want speed modifiers. Which leads us to our final perk, Fire Stride. Fire Stride gives you 5 stacks of speed. This speed buff actually works as a multiplier of whatever speed you currently have, right? So this will greatly boost the damage of Windburn. Plus, it leaves behind that puddle, the puddle of whatever element you have. For our build, it's going to be a plasma puddle. And do not think it's a small amount of damage. Like 14, it's nothing. As you can see, the numbers go really fast. The way to you could burst down an elite with this thing, what you do is you make like a concentrated puddle, just run around in a circle, and let them step on it, and once they step on it, they get cooked, right? It's over for them. So it's a nice secondary source of damage outside of Windburn, outside of your left click and your right click and your melee. You will be meleeing with this build a little bit sometimes because the melee, there's a nice little burst you can execute with it. So you run around and execute, like run through them. If they didn't die, you can do like a skip into melee combo, like Windburn melee, and then they're so it's pretty good. Really good, actually. So that's the splicing section of the video. Now we get into the stats and the catalyzers, which makes this build really strong. That kind of playstyle, you already saw how it plays in the intro. Here is the stats that you're gonna need. Currently, I have an exceptionally athletic one, which is an STR Agi bred Anami. But in the future, I think I might go Vit agility. I just like having that 1000 plus crit damage because it's amazing to see. And it really does insane amount of damage. But I think if you eventually, I think you have to balance out your crit damage with your speed. So let's just take a look at my stats first. Crit damage is about 1000. Attack power is 26%, but it's not really important, that 26%. Elemental bonus, it's alright. It's okay to have. Status damage multiplier 2.9. Health is 1400 with 190 armor. Stamina, not super important, but I have 1300. Reload, not too important. Cooldown is 41. Healing multiplier is at 2, which is nice. That one recuperation point set us to 2 times healing, which is nice to have. Fire rate is at 2.0 because we have a lot of agility, but it's not too important. Speed is what is important. I have 13.12 and my crit chance is at 68%. To be able to achieve these kinds of stats, your catalyzers have to be blunt force. It will give you 592 crit damage. That's how much it gives you. It's an insane catalyzer. And if you have an agility or an exceptionally agile whatever, Morphling or Voidling, it's gonna be fine. You'll have like 68%, right? Not bad. So to counter that negative 50 crit chance, you use a crit chance catalyzer. Like right here, plus 20. Right here, plus 10. So I have plus 30 to counter out the negative 50%. I use reinforced vitality because I like being able to tank the bigger hits. Plus it gives me 200 additional HP, which is nice. And of course, our main modifier for our damage is speed. I wish I had the purple one because the purple one probably gives me a lot more speed. Now, this is pretty good already. It does work. Windburn crits. The tooltip doesn't tell you that it can crit, but it can actually crit. That's why we want a lot of crit. Windburn's damage is based off speed and crit damage. So that's why I built it this way. However, in the future, I plan to change a few things with this build. I would remove Critical Eye, and I would change it to Speed Demon, which I have right here, which is a plus 50% of your speed. Plus 4.56% is nuts. That's a lot. I do lose a little bit of crit damage. It drops to 988, which is still okay, but I do lose a lot of HP, which is a little bit of a problem. Now, to counteract that loss of HP, you might have this. That's why I'm mentioning it already. You could put max health. A purple version of this is plus 800. So you gain 600 back. So you'll be at around 1.4 HP. You'll have less armor, but you'll have more damage and speed. A little bit less crit, but more speed. More same HP, less armor. So it's a better balance of speed and crit damage. But yeah, that's what I would do if I were to change this build up a little bit more later on. And I will lose a like 10% critical strike chance, but I'll still be at 58%, which is pretty good. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you guys liked it, leave a like. I think this is a very unique way to play the game. It's very fun. It's very fast. You can traverse and fly through the map with this build. It's really fun. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe for more Voidling Bound, or just, subscribe if you like Morph, which is me. That's it. I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.